Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the 4 to 5 on this Tuesday. I'm Sydney here with Eric and Hunter. Good afternoon to the both of you.
You know, all day I've been thinking it was Wednesday, and I don't know why.
I almost caught myself saying a different day than Tuesday. I don't know. I was thinking more ahead too.
I must have had a long Monday. I'm thinking today's Wednesday.
That can happen sometimes.
I'm still stuck on the fact that Thanksgiving's next week, and that has completely wrecked my brain.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's here as well too. But we have a lot to talk about in this hour.
First up on our 4 to 5, it's an end of an era in Forsyth County. After nearly 2 decades, the Winston Cup Museum is closing for good. It comes after owners Will and Christy Cox Spencer say they can't afford to keep it open anymore. Now, the museum posted this message on Facebook this morning. It talked about their financial and legal struggles, which led to the closure. The museum also plans to auction off most of its memorabilia. Now, today I spoke to racing fans from all over about their memories made inside the museum.
We opened the doors to the museum in May of 2005. And Will really, we had a big press conference and he said, this is a gift to the city of Winston-Salem and a way to say thank you to R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. It was done as a way, to bring people together and not forget this really important part of racing, of the glory days of racing. Through the past 19 years, we've had people from Germany, from Switzerland, from China. It really has impacted, from a global standpoint, we've seen those people, but then locally.
The museum showcases history from the Winston Cup Series that began in 1971, when R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company's Winston brand became the sponsor of NASCAR's elite division. But racing fans everywhere learned that history will soon be auctioned off and the doors will be closed.
It meant a lot for our sport, having everything right there in one place. It's a great place to take your family, show them around. Really gonna miss seeing all that history in one museum. Really, really sad to see them go.
There's so much history in that building of where the sport started and how it progressed over the years.
It is like the loss of a family member because we've come to love the people and the purpose that the Winston Cup Museum exists for, to preserve the history of the Winston Cup racing period.
The owners say after looking at the museum's financial condition and the expenses required to rebrand the museum, they've decided to close it permanently. But they say they're thankful for the fans that were there for them along the way.
It was never designed to be a revenue generator. It was really a way to fuel his passion for the motorsports industry and give hardcore race fans a place to come and see some really unique pieces of history. We just can't afford to keep it open. We've got to reinvent ourselves.
Now, the museum officially closes December 16th. They plan to have fun events there at the museum leading up to that date. They also are auctioning off all the majority of that collection in Florida from January 2nd through the 14th.
A lot of good stories there and memories that people hold. What was it like for you just talking with them and hearing their stories?
All the racing fans were just thankful that there was a piece of history still there because Will, the owner, actually just used to collect this stuff, and they would call it, hey, throw it in the museum, which was actually just a garage, and then they expanded it, of course. Sad. I know that Christy, the owner, and her husband, Will, are really sad to let it go and have to pass it on, but they hope
that's iconic. Everybody called it the Winston Cup Series forever, so it's a lot of memories for people.
And people have a few days to go and look at it as well too before things really shut down.
Yep, till December 16th. So if you haven't done it, she recommends coming out there because it'll be your last chance.
All right.
Well, this story got me wondering, what business do you wish was still around today? We have Irvin, who says Sears. Yes, I think that's a good one. And then we have Aaron, who says Toys R Us. We also had Bobby, who said Radio Shack. They had the best electronics, we're all agreeing right now, and technical devices that you can't find anywhere else. We also have Bill, who said Spaghetti Bowl in Burlington, quote, best spaghetti ever. I love that.
So my first one is Sears.
Me too.
But not because of the items and things. That was where we took our pictures, our family photos.
Yes,
and although I wish my mom was watching right now, but she's probably busy, but It was so funny because we used to not really like taking pictures that much. I know my older brother and I, we used to not like to do it. But now as I look back, I'm like, gosh, we have so many memories. And then after we would take them, we would sit and all watch and see which ones we would choose. But it was my mom's show. She was the one that was going to choose which
absolutely.
photo was going to go
mess
there.
with Mama when it comes to a picture.
I know.
For me, it's Sears, but for a different reason, because they used to send out the wish book every year, which had all the toys. And so I picked out for Santa Claus, I picked that out every year. And the other is Eckerd Drugstores, because when I was a kid, which is now Rite Aid, and then now I think that even that's gone. But it was about a mile from my house, and I used to ride my bike to the Eckerd Drugstore, sit at the lunch counter and get like a Coke. And I thought that was, I was little, I was like 8 years old. I thought that was so cool.
I mean, this one's recent, but Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of sad about that. As a college student, also just like different aspects. Anytime you're gonna do a 2-week dorm, camp, like you would go to Bed Bath & Beyond to get those needed items.
Yeah,
I forgot that that's not a thing.
And they had a huge sale not too long ago, to get rid of this stuff. And speaking of the Sears photos, I have one on my desk. Oh, the nostalgia.
I know, I got stuff on mine.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. Firefighters are still working on hot spots at the former Culp weaving mill in Graham. A massive 3-alarm fire destroyed much of the partially vacant building on Sunday. This morning, debris inside the former mill re-sparked, keeping firefighters busy. Right now, it's contained, but investigators are still trying to figure out how the fire started. This is the second fire at the old mill in a little over a year. In both cases, there were no reported injuries.
Starting tomorrow, Moses Cone Hospital in Greensboro and Alamance Regional Medical Center in Burlington will require masks in areas that care for babies and children. It's because of RSV infections. They say kids testing positive for RSV has nearly doubled in the past month at Cone Health. Those same hospitals will also implement visitor restrictions for kids 12 and under in select departments. Atrium Health and Novant Health aren't implementing the same rules.
Boom Supersonic is making progress on its production facility over at Piedmont Triad International Airport. The building will be the home of the jet maker's Overture Super Factory. Over the past 6 weeks, Boom says it's finished the decking on the top of the structure, poured the concrete flooring, and installed the metal side wall panels. They say construction is ahead of schedule with a projected completion date sometime next year.
Temperatures are kind of all over the place in our long range, but for now, at least, pretty comfortable. And this is not too far off the mark from where we should be this time of the year. Mid-60s for just about everybody. We do have 67 though in Yanceyville, but around 64 to 65 for right in the heart of the Triad and in the Piedmont. And then to the south, we'll go up to the upper 60s for Troy and some 50s in the higher elevation, some upper 50s. And we will drop down fairly quickly. We have a decent amount of cloud cover out there, kind of varying sky conditions, but overall, we'll be in those 40s, even lower 40s by the time we get to the overnight period, about that 1 to 2 a.m. period in the lower 40s, around 43 degrees. Fairly clear across our area, but that low pressure, it's going to sit down there, not change a whole lot over the next little bit. In fact, the only rain chance is really a small 20% Friday, Saturday. We do not expect that to amount to a whole lot. And then we'll see those temperatures after that. They're going to drop again for our Wednesday, back up to 58 degrees, and of course the upper 60s for Thursday, Friday, and mid-60s on Saturday. Well, it's that time of the year again. That's the time when the Greensboro Science Center is filled with literally millions of lights here, not exaggerated. Of course, we're talking about the Winter Wonder Lights exhibit, but this year there are some cool new additions. I spoke with Becca Robinson with the Science Center to give us a peek. Did she do it? She did it. Almost fell. Look who we bumped into.
I didn't see you there.
It's Becca with the Science Center. All right, so first of all, what is this place?
All right, so this madness is our indoor sock skating rink for Winter Wonder Lights. You want to take a lap?
Sock skating. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
You want to take the lead?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We are literally skating on our socks.
We are literally skating on
I
our
love it,
socks.
Becca. What's this part of?
This is part of Winter Wonder Lights, so we brought it inside this year.
So we're going to be lights in here. You said something next door.
So next door is our fountain show. We usually have that behind our Discovery House.
Yes.
It's actually next door to us. And then we have our sock skating rink. We've got two, one for big kids like us, and one for small kids over there.
That's perfect. So the light show, I mean, I'm thinking about me with my kids. You can warm up a little bit.
Absolutely, you can walk through our aquarium as well. We have 18 illuminated giant jellyfish hanging from our aquarium. They change colors, they're beautiful.
So you and I were talking before we started this, and you were saying the Jingle Brew, you have my attention.
Yes, yes, so 21 and older holiday beer event, you have to be 21 to come or over. We do have designated driver tickets. $45 for regular tickets, that gets you 2 drink tickets. You get hors d'oeuvres by Peppermint Catering.
But now, and you said the brew is special, right? The beer is...
We are going to have a special beer that's being brewed by South End, and it will be available starting November 3rd in their tap room. So it's only going to be available in the tap room and at Jingle Brew. And of course, we have Foothills and Little Brother will be there as well.
So you have to remember, you've got Jingle Brew, then you got the lights, and then you have the inside lights. I don't know where you go next.
You come here
you
during the day.
You sock skate.
You sock skate.
That's what we're going to do.
Let's go. Let's go.
I have never heard of sock
skating.
ice skate. Okay.
They just call it sock skating.
Sock skating.
I hadn't
Never
either.
heard of that.
You know what it is? It's almost like a thick whiteboard. If you think about a whiteboard laid down, because in that way, it's not so slick that you'll fall. I mean, you can fall, but I almost did. But you just run and slide around, and it's so much fun.
I love that.
Perks are it's not very cold, so you like don't have to bundle up when you go.
Well, and that's indoors.
Indoors.
That part is actually indoors, so you get a break from the cold when you're out there. One thing to mention, that Jingle Brew is this Friday, and so at South End you can get the special Jingle Brew there, and they also have some events at the Science Center, but you have to be 21, of course, to get in for that. But it is their actual special beer that's brewed by South End.
Ooh, really very nice. I love when there's different fun, cool elements added to when you think of a place that's usually just for animals and things of that nature. It's cool to see them venture out to do other things
well, if
too.
you haven't seen those lights, you gotta go.
Yeah, it's on my list.
On the list now.
We'll be right back.
New at 4, a man has been arrested in connection to the tragic ice hockey matchup that left a former NHL player dead. According to AP News, police in England charged the man with suspicion of manslaughter in the death of an American ice hockey player, Adam Johnson. Johnson's neck was cut by a skate during the game and he died at the hospital. Police have not shared the name of the man they arrested. In light of Johnson's death, the English Ice Hockey Association will now require all players to wear neck guards starting next year. You guys remember last week we talked about the safety protocols in place for ice hockey, and we opened up the discussion about safety to other sports.
That's right. Yeah, we asked you which sports could be made safer. One of the top responses was football. Head injuries are one of the most common injuries we hear about in football, and the best protection for it is, of course, a helmet.
Yeah, and there's a state-of-the-art football helmet. This could be a game changer by making football more accessible and inclusive for all athletes. Scott McFarland has the details.
In the hard-hitting, hard-knocks world of college football, for Coach Chuck Goldstein and his team,
first, we don't have a level playing field. We just don't.
the game can be even harder.
You're a football coach who doesn't wear a whistle.
Nope.
Goldstein's players are deaf or hard of hearing.
Our players never quit.
Student athletes at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., a university for the deaf and hard of hearing.
We won the conference championship last year.
John Scarborough is team captain, communicating with us through an interpreter.
It's one of the biggest sources of pride in my life. And I feel like we represent Gallaudet to America and to the world.
The team uses sign language to call in the plays and the audibles.
You can't stand behind a player and tell him what to do. Those little things that you don't realize when you're coaching on a hearing team.
They made history long ago. It was Gallaudet's football team in 1894 that, by necessity, invented the huddle.
Check. Let's go, nasty.
But Gallaudet is plagued by penalties.
You ever get a penalty because the play was over?
All the time.
From late hits and late snaps, unable to hear the refs and the calls. And it's trying to make a new type of history, testing a new 5G helmet made by AT&T, which relays a red flash when a play is over, or to alert the quarterback to look to the coach for the signs, according to athletic director Warren Keller.
It's smoother communication, much faster to change plays, and a safer field for everyone's safety.
And to relay a play from the coach's tablet to a visual prompt on a small screen inside.
I can get his attention just by hitting one button. It flashes red. It's like an exclamation point.
They were permitted once to test the helmet in a game this year. Now the Gallaudet Bison hope college sports officials will approve its use for all games down the road. For America's only NCAA football team for the deaf and hard of hearing, overcoming the hurdles is part of the winning.
And when we beat a hearing team, and they always think low of us, and I can see their facial expressions when they lose, and that makes me proud too.
You think the opponents underestimate you?
Oh, always.
The NCAA will review this helmet and whether to allow it during game action, and that review could be done as early as next season, as the Bison seek their third conference championship in the past 11 seasons. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Washington.
You know, but when you talk about those helmets and safety, we've seen those ones that the Panthers use during practice. They're big, they look huge, but they're padded. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day we didn't see it go that way, because when you go back in history, the helmets were way different. Way different.
And here's a fun fact. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. Did you know the first helmets only had leather padding, and basic helmets were not required for college play until 1939 and were not mandated until 1940 for athletes in the National Football League?
If you ever look at old, back then it was film, of those players, you might as well have not had a helmet on. They had leather helmet, like you could just collapse them. They were like a leather jacket.
It was more like a scratch-proof situation.
The weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how much, you know, safety has evolved over the years, but interesting to know that it was like that.
Yeah, the face mat, the face bar, there was only one, even when they finally said, okay, you got to wear a helmet. Dangerous.
Crazy
so
that
dangerous.
it's changed.
Yes.
And you don't want to miss this. It's week 2 of our Panthers ticket giveaway. All you have to do is answer the trivia questions on our website, and it doesn't matter if you get them right or wrong. Since we are the official station for the Carolina Panthers, the winner will get 2 tickets to a game plus a swag pack. Trivia for the week 3 giveaway closes Friday at 3.
You know, if you look at our radar, you would think, hey, finally, we might get a little rain. Looks like it might build from the south, head back up our way. Normally, we would say yes, but there is a ridge of high pressure that's kind of holding this back, and that low is kind of just sitting there. There'll be a decent amount of rain for the panhandle of Florida and the deep south, but not so much over us. Look what happens. We'll take you into the overnight and tomorrow. Now, this is tomorrow afternoon. You see the high pressure is kind of slipping on to the east, but still enough of an influence, and that low just takes its time to scoot on to the east into the panhandle of Florida, and we're still left fairly dry. We do think some of this, not a lot, but only about a 20% chance could make it maybe to the triad for Friday and Saturday. All right, weird to say this time of the year, but the hurricane season not over with officially until November 30th, and even after that, it's possible to get a hurricane at any time. But in the next week or so, there's a 70% chance of development with that system that you see there, and we will keep you posted on that. 58 degrees tomorrow, then upper 60s for Thursday, Friday. Keep your rain fingers crossed there for Friday and Saturday.
Well, the sounds of basketballs dribbling are back inside the Coliseum Fieldhouse. The Greensboro Swarm are set for their first homestand of the NBA G League season. We caught up with head coach Jordan Suricamp and players to get their take on the excitement for this year.
It's been really good so far. I think we have a really strong, connected group, right, that play well together, that function well together, and that are excited for their teammates' success, which is a big piece of what we try to do here. It's so fun to have a group that wants to be coached. That's the biggest thing, is you see it sometimes at levels of guys don't take coaching well, or they want to come out and do their own thing. We don't have anybody on our roster that's that way. They take coaching. One of the things we talk about on day one is honest communication. That's a big value for us as an organization. So just knowing that I'm going to coach them hard every day, I'm going to hold them accountable to everything, whether they like it or not. And we have a group that is just bought into really enjoying that process of being held accountable and learning and growing.
Obviously, it's a dream. Like, I always wanted to play in North Carolina and be close to home, so my family's able to come to games now. So that's good. Yeah, playing in North Carolina is a dream for me.
Oh man, it means a lot. I was here for 3 years, and now coming back, It just feels full circle. I'm excited. You know, I love the area, and it feels like home. My game, honestly, defensively, I'm trying to take that next step, becoming a great defender, and also just keep on improving my shooting. You know, I feel like that's definitely one of my strengths, a skill set of mine, but if I can take another step in that as well, I feel like that will make me more valuable as a player to this team.
And the Swarm's game tomorrow against Westchester is sold out. So they'll be back in action Friday and Saturday inside the Coliseum Fieldhouse against the Raptors 9:05, followed by a 2 against Maine with another matchup with Westchester, rounding out the homestand.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5. We have lots to talk about today. We'll have a forecast for you coming up in a minute. Everybody holding their breath a little bit for rain. Doesn't look great in the short. We've had almost 2 weeks with no measurable rain. So
interesting.
We're in a drought situation.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that weather report, but we'll start here. In just the last half hour, the March for Israel wrapped up in Washington, D.C.
The large demonstration was organized quickly to match dozens of pro-Palestinian rallies taking place across the country as threats against Jewish people rise.
Tens of thousands descended on the National Mall in a march for Israel against anti-Semitism.
Since October 7th, there has been literally an explosion of violence against Jewish people.
My friends, there are no words for the horror that happened 1 month ago in Israel.
Speakers included lawmakers and family members of the hostages still being held in Gaza.
Bring them home. Bring them home.
Organizers and the families called for their safe release.
Bring Omer and all of the hostages home now.
The demonstration brought groups from synagogues and Jewish organizations from as far as California.
I think that the impact of this march will really be heard across the entire nation.
The Department of Homeland Security designated the highest level of security possible for this demonstration. DHS says since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, there's been an increase in reports of threats against Jewish Arab American and Muslim communities.
In the end, Palestinians should also understand it's a fight for them as well.
Israeli President Isaac Herzog also took part with a live message from the Western Wall in Jerusalem.
We, the people of Israel, are eternal, and no one will break us.
Organizers say they want to show the world that Jewish communities should be able to live without terrorism and free of hate.
And meanwhile, the standoff at Gaza's largest hospital continues. Israel says it is a legitimate military target because Hamas uses it as a command center, while Palestinians say innocent civilians are dying at a place that should be protected in war. Hamas now says it's ready to release up to 70 women and children in exchange for a 5-day ceasefire.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. In the last effort to prevent a government shutdown, newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson is proposing a 2-step plan. The stopgap measure would extend funding through January 19th for agencies including transportation and housing. Other departments like Defense and Homeland Security would be funded through February 2nd. The last time the House tried to fund the government to prevent a shutdown, it cost Kevin McCarthy his speakership. And like last time, this plan will also bypass House Rules Committee today, where Republicans had signaled they would not advance the bill. The deadline to pass it is Friday.
A historic move by the U.S. Supreme Court. For the first time since the court was founded in 1789, the 9 justices have adopted a formal code of conduct. The official ethics rules are being issued after several justices, including Clarence Thomas, came under scrutiny for an undisclosed trips and gifts. However, the court's critics note that the guidelines don't provide any clear method of enforcement.
Since the United Auto Workers' new contract agreements with big 3 U.S. automakers, 3 foreign car brands, Honda, Toyota, and Hyundai, have voluntarily raised factory worker pay. Labor experts believe the move is to head off of UAW's strategy to organize U.S.-based plants from foreign automakers and Tesla. This comes as Stellantis has offered a buyout to more than 6,000 non-union salaried workers.
And some good news for drivers as Thanksgiving approaches. 49.1 million people are expected to travel by car, and they'll pay about 50 cents less for a gallon of gasoline than they did last year. According to Gas Buddy, gas prices are the lowest since February. In Greensboro, they have dropped 6.3 cents in the last week, averaging around $3 a gallon.
New at 4:30, 2 people are in the hospital after a head-on crash in Alamance County. It happened this morning on Maple Avenue around 8. These pictures were taken by the E.M. Holt Fire Department, which responded to the crash. One of the drivers had to be extracted from the vehicle and flown to UNC Hospital, while the other was taken there by an ambulance. The Highway Patrol is investigating the crash right now. We are waiting on an update on the driver's condition from troopers. Now, this comes as there is a new way to make roads safer for everyone.
A solution to dangerous streets and roads could be right underneath our feet. Let's connect the dots. According to a Johns Hopkins study, narrow driving lanes could save lives and the environment. The study found wider lanes increase the risk for accidents. 12-foot wide lanes had more wrecks than those with the width of 9 feet or less. Experts say this is because more room makes drivers believe they can increase their speed and drive a little less attentively. Narrower lanes also help the fight against environmental issues. Smaller lanes condense more drivers in less space, use less asphalt, and take up less land consumption. And while narrow roads can keep drivers safe, experts say that leftover space can be used as a buffer between cars and the bike lane. And that's connecting the dots.
Temperatures aren't too bad right now. You're looking at low to mid 60s across much of the central parts of our viewing area. You head back to the mountain communities, we do see upper 50s. That's for Boone, Jefferson, and Galax, but everybody else between about 62 and 65, kind of the range across the region. Not bad, and that's pretty normal for us this time of the year. Hour by hour tonight, we'll hit those 40s probably by about 8 to 9 o'clock tonight, and then go to the low 40s by 2 a.m. We do expect to see high temperatures stay in the 60s again, especially by the end of the week. We're back to the the mid to upper 60s. All clear right now, but when you look at the radar, you would think some of that rain would make it here, but the high pressure to the north of that is holding pretty steady, and that is going to allow, or not allow rather, that low pressure to move too far to the north. So we'll keep our rain chances kind of small, 20% for Friday, Saturday. Highs tomorrow, it's a cool 58, but then the upper 60s, mid to upper through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, low 60s and sunny on Sunday.
NCIS heads down under, and CBS unveils its post-strike midseason schedule.
That's right, plus some Triad residents are headed to the big stage. Let's look at your entertainment headlines. And then all of your favorite shows and some new ones are returning to CBS now that the Hollywood actors strike is over. It all kicks off immediately after the Super Bowl February 11th with the premiere of the new drama series Tracker. Original episodes of shows like The Neighborhood, Ghost, Fire Country, and more will also air.
CBS is taking fans of the NCIS down under for the first international spinoff of the hit series. U.S. and Australian agents are teaming up to investigate the death of an American seaman on a U.S. nuclear submarine in NCIS Sydney. You can catch the premiere tonight on CBS or stream anytime on Paramount+.
And two alumni from the School of Music at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts are nominated for 2024 Grammy Awards. High School Music alumna Mary Mitchell Campbell is nominated in the Best Musical Theater Album category for her role as a producer on Some Like It Hot. And voice alumna Joanna Gates is nominated as a member of The Crossing, a professional chamber choir, in the Best Choral Performance category for the album Carols After a Plague. The 66th Annual Grammy Awards will air right here on WFMY News 2, February 4th.
And you don't want to miss this on CBS. Two Lexington men will be on the Wheel of Fortune tonight. Bradley Essick and Daniel Parker will compete as a team to guess hidden phrases by guessing letters one at a time. Now you can watch them compete right here on WFMY News 2 tonight at 7. Big question, if you could compete on any game show, what would it be?
I have a bunch of them. It would have been Deal or No Deal, Family Feud.
I like Deal or No Deal.
Those are probably my biggest two, but definitely Deal or No Deal. But I'm not the type of person to go all the way.
You'll take the money when you get to a decent
Yep,
level.
and I'll just go on home. It's more than what I came with, so I'm like.
That's true. Mine would be name that tune. I like it when they give you like,
that's a
I
good
can
one.
do it
That's a
in
good
3
one.
notes or 4 notes or whatever.
See, I like the ones that are more luck, like where you just have to be lucky to get them, right?
So you don't have to be knowledgeable.
So I don't. All right, you said it.
Well, that's it. I wouldn't
But
want to be on Jeopardy, no.
That's like, I'm like, because people are so good with Jeopardy, and well, as journalists, we know a little about
yes,
a lot. You know,
true.
that's the problem is I don't have as much time to dig in about all the history for years. And
But
you know what I mean?
listen, some of those questions they answer are ridiculous. I'm like, how do you
Yeah.
know that?
And then, like, do they get a sheet ahead of time?
No, they do not.
I have questions.
I know, they do not. I've actually talked to a Jeopardy contestant before. It's just luck of the draw, or bad luck of the draw.
Yeah, I also would like to be on Survivor.
Oh,
I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like I can win it.
I told you I'm too bougie. I'll be in the RV.
You're
I don't want nothing to do with all that.
Eric's
Yeah.
over there just chilling,
No.
watching you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
the letter of the day is V.
That's right. The letter of the day is V. You can remember that from Sesame Street, right? But V is for the word vibe.
Okay.
So let's talk about what that word means and how it's used.
Vibe check. Like that's what you see the cool kids are doing nowadays. Is it still cool?
I think if you're enjoying something, it's a vibe. I'm living my best life.
Or
It's
you
a
put
vibe.
out a good vibe if you're in a good mood.
Yeah. What is the vibe check?
Yeah,
Vibe check. Like if you want to like check in on.
Sorry.
I feel so cool right now. When you go up to someone and you're checking in on them, you're like, okay, give me a vibe check.
Like how are you?
feeling?
How are you?
I see. Okay. All right. So I like it. This is a good vibe right here. Merriam-Webster defines vibe as a distinctive feeling or quality capable of being sensed. So this place has a good vibe, kind of like what you said. She gave me a weird vibe. Okay. The word vibe is now the word for hotel reviews.
There has been a 1,000% increase in travelers using the word vibe in their hotel reviews in the Hotels.com app. And what that's telling us is that travelers are looking for more than just, oh, the sheets were soft, or the eggs were delicious, or the pool was nice. They really want to know how a place makes them feel.
All right, so the vibe, more descriptive than like the number of stars for you in a rating?
Yeah.
That makes sense. The feeling that it puts off, I guess. Is
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anybody say this place has a really good vibe or whatever when you're looking on like a Yelp review or something like that?
I would say like an entertainment venue or something is usually where I hear it at, like entertainment. It has a nice vibe.
Or restaurants too. I think people want a certain feeling when they go to a restaurant or bar.
Cozy, homey vibe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Old school or really modern
Retro.
or whatever. Okay. So I know we all have a list of places we want to go. Do we not?
Yes.
We all have that list of
Lots.
places. All right. To travel and experience the vibe. Well, the travel expert who talked about the vibe says there's a thing on TikTok called a dupe.
Oh, dupes.
Okay. So instead of the name brand, whatever it is, they find something that looks like it but just cheaper, right?
Okay.
Okay, so
Duplicate.
it's happening for travel as well. Here's the travel dupe.
The destination dupe is perhaps somewhere a little less crowded, maybe a little less expensive, but just as lovely as the super popular, more well-known destination. My favorite destination dupe, Quebec City. I just went for the first time. So close to major American cities. You land in a magical French city with cobblestone streets, a castle on the hill, little cafes. It's a dupe for Geneva, another beautiful place, but that's a 10-hour flight away.
Wow.
All right, so those pictures that you saw were from my trip to Quebec City last year, and it was, I will say, it definitely has a European vibe, right? Without the long flight, like she was just saying. It's a way for you to be able to do Europe without you doing Europe.
Is that west side of?
No, it's
of
on the
Canada?
east
It's on
side.
the east coast. Okay.
So I studied abroad in Costa Rica, and that to me was almost the dupe because everybody was going to Spain, and it costs so much more to transfer your money there, right? Versus when you were going to Costa Rica, that dollar went
exchange,
so much further. So that was my dupe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And travel agents say if you book a trip for next year between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's the window, they say it's usually cheaper. So, make those plans. And maybe you don't go to the place that everybody, is showing on Instagram this year. Maybe you go on the dupe, the destination dupe.
Be a finder.
You go to another hotel and then you just go over and sit by the pool at the nice hotel. That you could do that.
Well, that's it too.
That happens sometimes. Not that I've ever done that, but it's happened.
Stay at the Motel 6, but go over to the Waldorf
Hang
Astoria.
out the Ritz. Yep.
Got it. All right. We'll be back.
Put your plate close.
So
Well, it's no secret that life has grown more expensive lately, from extra service charges to tip screens just popping up pretty much all over the place.
Yeah, you really can't escape it. Restaurants, auto shops, and even grocery stores now have tip jars, and they are reaching the tipping point on are consumers reaching the tipping point on tipflation? Well, let's take a look.
If you're wondering who's most likely to tip a lot for a latte, ask a barista.
I've noticed that a lot of younger people are more willing to be more generous when they tip.
Haley Rhodes knows that might just be her experience at Up Cafe and Coffee Roasters in Minneapolis. And though the new Pew Research survey on tipping culture in America doesn't provide direct evidence, it does show that 38% of 18 to 29-year-olds do view tipping as more of an obligation than a choice, compared to just 25% of those 50 and older.
Gen Z specifically, at least speaking from personal experience, we get a little bit anxious about what's expected of us in those types of situations. I feel kind of almost guilty sometimes pressing no tip, depending on where I am.
But if you remove the guilt trip that comes with the tip screen from the equation,
the younger you go, the less likely a driver will see a tip.
Shay Eisenman says the generational tipping trends she and her drivers at Shay Cab and Car Service see are flipped. And she thinks that's because of the rise of Uber.
Part of the premise of Uber when it came around was you don't need to tip.
Still, the survey found that roughly 61% of people said they always or often tip taxis or rideshares, far above the 25% who reported tipping their baristas.
Sounds good.
And while more and more people report being confused about if they should tip for different services, the group with the highest level of education, postgraduate degrees, struggled the most, with just 22% finding it very easy to figure out.
Whether I was a server at a restaurant or a bartender or a cab driver, I've noticed the higher educated oftentimes are not as good of tippers.
Yes. Though she says the biggest indicator of all is how much they've served others.
The most generous people are oftentimes middle-class people, working-class people, service industry, and small business owners.
Thank you so much.
People assume because I am a chauffeur and I drive a limo that I only drive rich people and that rich people are the people that pay my bills. But actually, it's everybody in the middle that gives me my living. And then our most generous customers too.
It's like a solidarity thing. I appreciate your work and I understand that this is how you're making your money.
Have a great weekend.
But keep in mind, even baristas have their limits.
One time my car got impounded and a tip prompt showed up. So, it's everywhere now.
And if you're wondering.
No. That was the one time they had a sign on the door that was like, we don't want to take your car. You gave us no choice, but I feel like they had a choice.
So I'm just going to tell you, I feel pressure to tip when they put, especially every time you use your card. And it may be, like walking into I'm making this up, but like a coffee shop, a donut shop, and you get a donut, and then somebody said, do I want to tip you? No, because I want, like a waiter or waitress, they're hustling, right? That's, if you've ever, I waited tables when I was in college, that's work.
Yeah, because some of those places, they do have the experience where you have the waiter and you can sit down and stuff like that too.
And their tips, that's how they make their money, really.
And it makes me feel bad for, the ones that are hustling, because I feel like it almost leaves this trickle down effect, where they're not getting as much tips either because you're so pressured everywhere.
Yeah, that may be true. People are starting to be tip afraid.
Sorry.
It's interesting.
Well, we'll get a look at the weather.
Yes.
Things are looking pretty dry out there, especially in the next few days as well too, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, Friday, Saturday, we have a slight chance, but it really is not amounting to what we need. That drought situation is no joke, and it just goes on and on, right? I mean, we're looking at low to mid 60s across the triad right now. These are comfortable temperatures, in the 50s for our higher elevations. But overall, as we head into the night tonight, look for those overnight lows going to the upper 30s, low 40s, depending on where you are. And then we'll see highs spiking on Thursday and Friday in the upper 60s.
The building was decaying, deeming it. The city's fire inspector told me that there wasn't any fire. What did he just say in my ear? No, not you. Did Eddie just say something while you were talking to me? Okay, so yes.
Hello, scan the QR code on your screen if you'd like to leave your weatherman a tip for the weather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hi, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware.
Hi, Brett. Wanabana.
Hey, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm very happy to be here today. I love my job. I love.
Hey, it's time for my 2 cents, and I'm just going to give you a little warning because I love Christmas so much. There will probably be about another 10 Christmas-themed my 2 cents coming from me over the next month and a half. Just fair warning. And this is number 1. We'll start the season with this one. So about the only other person I know that loves Christmas as much or maybe even more than me is my daughter, Drew. She's 10 years old. So last night, I played a Christmas song in the living room. It was getting close to bedtime for the kids. And she goes, hey, let's listen to Christmas music and turn on the fireplace. And it was cold enough, so I did. Gas fireplace. So we flipped the switch. And then she said, can you make the lights Christmas color? And I forgot we have LED bulbs. So take a look at what we did. I hit the button, made the lights turn green. She had just finished with her bath or shower, and so she had on a little bathrobe and a little head towel thing, and she laid down with our dog Lucky because she loves him so much. And this little Christmas elf was in the Christmas spirit, wanted to lay there and listen to that music, have the green lamps on, the fire going. And I just thought, this is a moment, right? As a parent, it's one of those moments that you kind of hold on to forever. And I was so thankful that she did that. Although she fell asleep and then I fell asleep. I woke up at 2:30 with Christmas music still going and the fire going, and I had to lift her up and put her to bed. But so goes being a father. Thanks, Drew, for being the Christmas elf in the family. That's just my 2 cents. So that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
We're on top of breaking news on WFMY News 2 at 5. Several fire departments are on scene of what investigators are calling a huge fire in Forsyth County.
The Walkertown Fire Department says it responded to the scene on Box Mountain Road a couple of hours ago. That road is shut down right now. And about 30 minutes ago, the